Hello, and welcome to Making Sense of It. I'm Mona Duncan, and our speaker today is Dave Hancock, and he is going to be talking about can you handle them all? And it's looking at the quality schools and any problems that may take place and how to correct those. And so I'm going to pull the screen, share the screen with Dave's picture. He talks with us from the phone, but we can have his picture here so you can see him. So, Dave, we're ready for you. Take it away.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our quality school teachers with Dr. Glasser. Ever since 1968, first book I read, Schools Without Failure, and I had a relationship, friendship and collegiality with Dr. Glasser for 30 years. He graduated from Cleveland Heights High School, the high school that I was a teacher at quality school, 1968 to 2003, 35 years. And anyway, to get started, kind of learn from him from reality therapy, Schools Without Failure, the quality school teacher, Every Student Can Succeed, all of his education books. How to manage students without coercion. And we've identified about 124 different behaviors. From the agitator to the angry to the bully to the do nothing, all the way down to W, the whiner. No X, Y's, or Z's. We can handle them all, and you can handle them all. Exactly. Let's talk about one of the student behaviors. All 124 are also psychologically and behaviorally discombobulating and befuddling to us. But if we're not a traditional school teacher, lecture, sit down, take notes, the conditioned stimulus, conditioned response type teacher attitude, the unconditioned stimuli elicits the unconditioned responses. And I often thought about Pavlov. What if he would have used cats instead of dogs? Well, let's pretend like obviously our students are cats. So let's go with the agitator and the do nothing. The description of the behavior, these students draw, daydream, walk around during class, poorly organized, socially kind of a loner, intrinsic motivation's there, but extrinsic motivation really doesn't do the job there, never does what teachers want him or her to do. Well, the primary cause of misbehavior is self-confidence. The student, for some reason, doesn't deal very well with himself or herself. Then he or she gets deeper and deeper in trouble because of the choice to do nothing, also known as gold bricking. Well, the behaviordoctor.org is a good resource, and I'll give you a couple other resources on our question and answer period for reference and referrals. Methods and procedures and techniques to employ immediately. Formulate a realistic goal with the student. Goals which can be accomplished. However, he or she must help establish any goal. Remember, the feeling of being a do-nothing is very real to this student. It kind of gives them a sense of power. And building a relationship, a positive relationship, as Dr. Glasser talks about in reality therapy and choice theory, and chapter on school discipline. He didn't like using that word discipline, but behavior management. Don't tell the student, I know you can do it. You must deal honestly with what he or she's feeling. Call parents for a conference if needed, or of course, we have our technology today, text, phone, emails, etc. If this conference affects no change, call a second conference with a counselor or administrator, parents and student, all of us together. This helps the student see the efforts we're making are making on his or her behalf. Create a verbal or written agreement with this student to help create a stepping stone to real progress and self-motivation, positive self-motivation. Find the student's personal interests and use them as a catalyst to create self-motivation. Give this student as much positive reinforcement as possible, not negative reinforcement or punishment, like Alfie Kohn's book, Punished by Rewards. A plan involving this student should include a weekly progress report. You may want to mail this report to parents or email or text or call, as the student may not be responsible enough to deliver it. So, what mistakes should we avoid? Refusing to investigate new avenues of learning a material, which would be more exciting and challenging to this student. Constantly nagging. Oh, gee, there's one of the lethal, deadly habits Dr. Glasser talked about, nagging, and inadvertently reinforcing do-nothing behavior. Gold brick the do-nothing. And all of this can be related, and we can implement new strategies in that, to the apathetic, the agitator, the arrogant, the bully, etc. However, one thing I really found of interest and it really works is in reality therapy. Dr. Glasser talks about one of his students, Andrea, who fit the definition of do nothing and gold bricking. In reality therapy, if you have a copy in your library dictionary, there are pages 161 to about 163. The following example illustrates the startling results that can be obtained by varying the standard classroom approach, the traditional factory model, assembly line, sit down, quiet, take notes, teacher lecture, 49 out of 50 minutes. And they're all sleeping with their eyes open, instant somnambulism and narcolepsy. I mean, hello. Andrea is an attractive and pampered 14-year-old girl from a well-to-do home who saw no reason to apply herself in school. Possessing good intelligence, she was pleasant and personable, but she did no work. She's a gold bricker, a do-nothing. She had been placed in a special class with others like herself. We all have special classes. I was very fortunate in science, biology, life science, nature study, outdoor education, environmental science, 7 through 12. We had a park, Kane Park, 3 blocks away, outside a lot, birds, trees, wildflowers. And I had mainly 12 to 16, 18 students. That's ideal, who were not able to accomplish the minimum requirements of regular class. So placement in a special class, special education. Because Andrea was clearly capable of doing good work, the teacher had tried and failed to reach her with extra attention, coupled with personal requests for more work. Although her classwork was reasonably good for the special class, she did absolutely no homework. No homework. Well, never assigned homework. As a matter of fact, excellent book, Etta Kralovic and John Buell, The End of Homework, How It Disrupts Families, Overburdens Children, and Limits Learning. Well, guess what? Back in 1901, homework was legally banned. We have banned books. Oh my gosh. In parts of the United States, there are no studies showing that assigning perfunctory homework before junior high or middle school improves academic achievement. Many times students go home, first thing question mom or dad asks, start on your homework. Go out, play, recess. Anyway, after a long discussion in our class, it was suggested that the teacher completely stop grading. No grades. A, B, C, D, F. Many places use the A plus, A minus, and then the 190. No one's perfect. So I kind of told my students, how about 98 to 88 in A? 87 to, I mean, going all the way down. That did improve the motivation and psychological process in their minds. Stop grading the girl's paper. On the next fairly good assignment, she was to write a thank you or good work, or I use credit received, CR. If it was really good, CR plus, especially if they were essay questions or identification questions, etc. Or very perspicacious. What does perspicacious mean, Mr. Hancock? Well, here's a dictionary, look it up. Oh, thank you. Or a thank you at the top of the paper instead of a grade. She had the opportunity to do so almost immediately. When Andrea got her paper back, she stayed after class to ask, "What is going on, Mr. Hancock?" Or Dr. Lassam. The teacher had been instructed to say nothing of grades, remarking only, "It was a good paper. I appreciated it. I'm letting you know." The girl walked out puzzled but interested. The teacher had reached her. She felt special in some way, different from any feelings she had in the past. I found this in my students also. Now, when it comes to identification, or name, this is the sternum, the femur, that's a little different on oral practical. I used to give a lot of oral quizzes, tests and quizzes. So I had students, if I get pretty close to them, they knew it was coming, a question. They started walking away. Hey, anyway, I started giving away money too. $1 question, a $5 question. It's funny. Principal came up to me and said, "Dave, in the cafeteria talked about Mr. Hancock giving any money away today." "Yeah, be on the alert. He's just giving away $5 questions unannounced." It cost me about $400 a year, $100 a quarter. I had a lot of fun with that. And then I go, "That's not a bribe. Technically, it is a bribe, I guess, but it's illegal to give away money." Okay. Thereafter, instead of a grade, all papers received a personal comment such as, "I appreciate your good work," especially the essays, or even to fill in the blanks and that, and they had check marks and that, but they didn't go 9/10 equals 90% equals A. They avoided that, and it was like an illusion. An interesting opinion. It's possible you overlooked some points, but good work. I would do that with a microscope. Here's the slide, the blood smear slide. Get out your microscope. All right, put the blood smear slide on there, and I want you to put it on high power. You do scanning, low, medium, and high power, and I want the pointer pointing on a leukocyte, a white blood cell. Then I want you to point it on an erythrocyte, a red blood cell. They love doing that, and I go, "Excellent, excellent. Well, you know what it is. Your lab grade so far is an A." Any pertinent comment that was primarily complimentary could have been used. The change in Andrea was remarkable. After just 3 weeks, her work, which now included all the homework assignments, reached A level and stayed there. The self-grading reflection also was pretty good. I asked my students, "Well, what do you think you earned in biology class?" They were usually a little, well, I'd say 90% of them graded themselves lower than what I did, because they had their points. So, okay, tests, quizzes, lab reports, attendance, participation, 25% each. All right, I have to say 20 out of 25, 24 out of 25, 25 out of 25, but you could rearrange it where they were going, "Oh." So several weeks ago, Andrea asked the teacher for a grade on the excuse that her parents wanted to know how she was doing. The teacher told her to put any grade on the paper she thought it deserved and that she would sign it. Interestingly, he put a C on the paper, which was worth at least a B plus in the teacher's opinion. The teacher signed it and said nothing. Andrea reported her parents were very satisfied with the C. Well, that's okay. Let's stay above sea level. How's that? We don't want to go below sea level, right? For swimming, anyway. A great improvement over her previous work. When she returned the paper, she said that she felt she was doing better and would give herself a B next time. Not only is she continuing to do well scholastically, academic achievement-wise, she has become an assistant to the teacher, quieting, kind of going around like a student teacher and getting them started on the work even before the teacher arrives out in the hallway. I did this with my students, lab assistants. Just about everyone. I had 18 students. All of them were a lab assistant for 1 week. That took care of the semester. That at their A grade, I had many classes, especially in nature study, all A's. 18 students, 18 A's. Drove the administration a little, what? And then I wrote letters to this, to the Plain Dealer and Green Valley Times. I have a book. It's every penny goes to the Geauga County Retired Teachers Association and teacher grants. Black students, white teacher, because I started off in 1968 about 1/3 Jewish, 1/3 white, 1/3 black. In 2003, Cleveland Heights, University Heights Public Schools, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, had 80 science students, 8th grade, 78 black and 2 white. Therefore, doing that, I would have all my students play teacher. I would ask them volunteers, and I usually get them, or I'd say, Joe or James, come on up here and just teach us this genetic problem. Mom has hybrid blue eyes, hybrid brown eyes. Dad has pure blue eyes. What are the chances of them having 2 children, 1 brown, 1 black? The statistics involved, 1/4, 1/2. Let your students teach. And even Dr. Richard Carlson in his book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff Guide for Teachers, let your students teach, because I use Dr. Glasser's quote, we learn 10% of what we read for the first time. So you read, reread, and reread. Comprehension. 20% of what we read, 20% of what we hear. 10% of what we read, 30% of what we see. Now let's combine them. Dr. Glasser said 50% of what we see and hear. 70% what is discussed with others, discussion. Current events class today, history and government, are excellent. I've seen really very lively debates, civil debates, better than some adults, obviously. And 80% of what we experience personally, but we learn 95% of what we teach to someone else. That's in Dr. Glasser's The Quality School Teacher, I think, book. The field trips to museums, and I had a student whose father at Case Western Reserve University had a lab of research in immunology. Went there a few times. Very, that's an authentic learning situation and experience. To museums, Cleveland Botanical Garden, Museum of Natural History in Cleveland, but anyway, our field trips. But you can do it outside also. We can birch trees, wildflowers at recess, out right on school property, twigs, etc., our specimens. And you can have your classroom looking like a botanical garden, which mine did look like. Anyway, based on that, for motivating students who don't care, let me conclude with a couple ideas I used that were very impressive to my students. When I did this, I would display a picture of myself when I was in 8th grade, 9th grade, 7 through 12. Went through my high school yearbooks. That was, really. And then I would also share some stories about myself, where I went to college and I majored in, a little bit of experiences there. Then I would show them my report card. My mother, my mother kept everything, clippings, and I'm still going through my Eagle Scout trunk with all my memorability in it. It's very cathartic going through that. So I was showing my report card. I did much better in history and government and social studies than I did in science. I go, well, I had a few science teachers that were not Dr. Glasser teachers. My rationalization. And it just made that connection of relationship. And I still get cards and letters from former students. I'm in touch with 3 of my former students, 1968, 69 at Roosevelt Junior High in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. They're what? I'm 77, first year baby boomer. They're 69 and 70, and they were my first students in my science class, 8th grade physical science. And it's very enjoyable staying in touch with them through texting and emailing. Anyway, for behavior, I would just simply have a student, I have this in the back of my book, if a student was using profanity now and then, or racially or nationality insulting terms in the classroom, or just disrupting the educational process, even in the cafeteria hallway, I would hear some students, mainly the gentlemen, would call each other ends every now and then. I go, gentlemen, your language, please. Oh, sorry, Mr. Hancock. That's all. No calling the police, parents, etc. I would use the basic, and I would give them this, and they would look at it, and I say, please read that to me. It'd be one-on-one in a classroom, a conference period, or lunch, or after school. And I would give them this. I'd say, please read this to me, Joe or Jane. And this paragraph states, I was given this short paragraph to write, but for me, just say instead of write, as a reminder not to use profanity, racially, nationality, insulting terms in the classroom. It's a violation of school policy. I wouldn't use the word rules, like classroom rules, school policy, classroom policy. I must demonstrate more self-control and discipline in the weeks and months and years ahead. I appreciate this method and this approach to deal with my social and personal involvement and development as a responsible young man, young woman. I understand that if this disciplinary behavior action does not appear to control my use of profanity, etc., in the classroom, a more maybe severe form of reprimand will follow. And I would say, what would you think that might be? Well, all right, you'll probably call my parents. Well, yeah, okay. Possible. Maybe not probable, but possible. However, by demonstrating self-control and discipline, I will not receive another paragraph for profanity, etc., and will be able to use my time more efficiently in activities which develop my academic potential and my intellectual growth. I only had to do that once, never twice, especially in 7th and 8th and 9th grade. High school was a little different. I could use my body language, facial features, and do we have to do something? Oh, sorry, Hancock, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's about it. I don't want to damage ozone, like a former student said, an astronaut, or contribute much more to carbon dioxide effects. Therefore, thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thanks, Dave. I appreciate all of that information, and sounds like something that could be passed on to future generations and other people that are teachers and working with the public in general. So we will stop the recording now, and those that are here present can ask questions and make comments, and thank everyone for being here.